It's that time again, Our Town Live, where friends, family, people you know share with us their unique bits of wisdom. And now, here's Herb, your host, for another show.
Lauren Hisey wants to help you and your business succeed. Not your typical consultant or coach. She uses a calming influence, continuous improvement, and Lean Six Sigma through regular conversations to help create effective change within your business. By looking at the business through the eyes of someone who has firsthand experience, she can consult and coach individuals and companies to become profitable in today's fast-paced environment. She embraces and overcomes the challenges that other people prefer to avoid. As an expert in Lean Six Sigma, she helps business to improve profitability and culture to drive sustainable growth. She has spent 13 years living and breathing Lean Six Sigma and continuous improvement as a coach, consultant, trainer, and speaker with different sized businesses, universities, podcasts, and various networking associations. She has a passion for continuous improvement and loves to show others how to use it effectively in their business and organizations. Why should we work together? Let's ask Lauren. Lauren, tell me what you do.
Sure. So there's two things that I do in my business. The first thing I do is I consult with companies that need help within their business to improve their processes so that way they can increase their revenue, customer satisfaction, and reduce costs. And then the second part of my business that I just launched within the past week is continuous improvement coaching. So basically helping those business leaders, business owners, or just about anyone that would like to improve their business or their personal life. And what I do is I help them get from point A to point B, and help them get out of their own way to do that.
What would you say is the most important thing to have learned before you start a business?
The most important thing is, one, know what you want to do. So what are your strengths? And once you figure that out, then put together a plan. That's where continuous improvement comes in. Put together a plan and just get started.
What is the name of your company?
Lauren Hisey Consulting.
And do you have a website?
Yes, I do. It's laurenhiseyconsulting.com.
How long have you been working in this area?
I've been working in continuous improvement and Lean Six Sigma for 13 years.
How did you get started in this area of business?
I got started 13 years ago. I reached out to my VP at the time, and I said I was ready for something more. I had just finished my MBA program, and I knew that I could do more with my MBA than what I was doing. And AT&T was launching their first Lean Six Sigma class. I was not in the first class, but I was in the second class, and that's how I got my start in this industry. And it's just something that really resonated with me, and I just stuck with it because it brings me great joy.
How has your role changed over time?
Yeah, when I first started, I was a Lean Six Sigma black belt. So what I was doing now is helping different organizations within AT&T to improve their processes. And as that's grown, I moved into product leadership or product development to help launch new products that were as near perfect as you can to launch them, but more in a way that we learned how to continuously improve them as the products evolved. And then I moved over into Nielsen, which is media research. And one thing that's different from AT&T is that I went from a telecommunications to media research, and that was just a whole different animal. But I think through Nielsen, I learned that I really love to coach and teach people as continuous improvement. So that kind of evolved into where I launched my business last year because I knew I wanted to help more than just bigger businesses. I knew that there were smaller businesses or individuals out there that needed help, and I wanted to show them how continuous improvement can help in their lives or within their business.
You mentioned to me the other day that you feel most people are overwhelmed at work. What do you mean?
Yeah, so there's a few reasons why I think people are feeling overwhelmed, especially in the last couple of weeks. So one, people are trying to understand how this new world of working is going to work for them because the majority of people weren't working inside their homes. So now that they're working from home and learning how to juggle that with their kids. But the biggest thing I get is once we get into this area of crisis, or once we get into this area of, man, I feel overwhelmed in my business and I don't know what to do next, or people understand that they have to go from this point to the next point and they don't know how to get there. So that's why a lot of times sometimes when I'm just speaking with people just one-on-one, I'm not even coaching them, just speaking with them, I feel overwhelmed and I don't know what steps I need to take to get there. And that's where I think with continuous improvement helps them figure out, instead of looking at everything like, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed, I don't know how to get there, you break down into smaller steps and how to achieve your goal, no matter what it is you want to achieve.
How important is it to have a goal?
It is very important to have a goal. I knew about 3 years ago that I wanted to start my own business, and I didn't know how to get there at first, and then I just remembered my teachings from Lean Six Sigma and Continuous Improvement that you have a goal in mind, then you take baby steps, no matter how long it takes you to get to your ultimate goal. And that's when I knew I wanted to launch my business. That was the bigger goal that I was working toward, but I had smaller goals along the way to help me get there.
You're coaching a 20-year-old person right out of college or out of the Air Force or Army or what have you, and they come to you and they say, I want to go into business. How do I figure out what business to go into?
How do I help them? Well, that's a good one. How I would help them, or the advice that I would give them, is what strengths do you have now and what passions do you have? So the way to look at it is what helps you wake up in the morning, what gets you excited. And it doesn't necessarily have to be something on a big grand scheme. It could just be something I like helping people work out, or maybe I like to cook, or maybe I just want to, I want to go help people in some way. And so when you do that self-discovery of what is your passion and what are the skill sets that you do have, or what skill sets do you think you might want to learn about, then that's what helps you figure out how to get into business.
Do you have a family?
Yes, I sure do. I have a son who is 26, and my husband.
So you have 2 kids.
No, I only have one.
Oh, okay.
I have to say, I know where you're going with that. My husband's not your normal typical husband. I don't know how to say that.
What does he do?
My husband is he still works at AT&T, and he just moved into a different role where he is I believe a software architect. He was a software developer where he was leading a team of automation developers. Now he's moved onto the architect side of the business, building those things out without coding.
Describe a typical day in your life.
Oh, a typical day in my life. Well, my day seems to change daily, but on any given day, I'm either, I usually start out with working with people or working with people. So it's a lot of times I'm on Zoom and different types of Zoom calls with people trying to figure out how I can help them. And the biggest thing that I always do in my life is I make sure I get up and I try to read at least 10 to 20 minutes every morning. Read the news for about 10 minutes and then turn that off. And then I always have lunch with my husband if I can. And then I always have dinner with my husband if I can as well.
What hobbies do you enjoy when you're not working?
I love to take walks out in nature, hiking. I love to garden. I like to work out with my husband as well. I usually do weights and we both do yoga. And I like to travel as much as I can. Well, that's on hold for right now, but I do like to travel. We like to either try someplace new, or if we just want just a very simple vacation, we do enjoy going to Vegas as well.
What's the most exciting trip you've ever been in out of the country?
Out of the country, my most exciting was, I think that trip was, I have two of them, and they both were both in Europe. So one was the first time I ever got to go to Paris with my husband. He was working in Europe for work for about a week and a half, and so I flew over for the weekend to France. I was only there for 2.5 days, and that was the most amazing time. And then I got to go back to Europe, 3 years ago, and the whole theme around that trip was we were going to Disneyland Paris to run a half marathon.
Oh.
And yeah, and so we made a whole 2-week trip out of it where we went to Paris, London, and Amsterdam, and that was so much fun.
Since you've been working in this area, what would you consider you're most proud of that you have accomplished in this area?
You're most proud of? I have a couple of proud moments. One was just this last year with my business. It is my second client, and they were a smaller accounting firm that specializes in church. They did accounting for churches. I think my most proud moment there was just being able to work with those people and then to see the small changes that they made in the first couple of weeks of me working with them. I get excited when I see people change. And then one of the biggest ones was when I moved from AT&T to Nielsen, and I got to work with some really interesting folks in the music industry, and just getting to helping them change their process. And through that, I found a really good mentor she helped me through a couple years of becoming a stronger teacher and a stronger leader.
What has been your least proud effort in this area?
My least proud, and I took that into a learning moment for myself, was when I was leading a big workshop with people from all over the world. I learned that while we have to always trust everyone, we always have to sometimes learn to watch people, because sometimes, depending on who that person is, they might have some type of different motive than what I want them to have. And then the thing I learned from that is make sure that you're speaking to the right people when you have your workshop, but to sit there and really learn to listen to what people are saying. And if for some reason, if something's not going right, then I could sit down with that person individually and try to understand maybe what was causing them to think the way they were thinking or to act the way they were thinking.
What do you believe is your biggest strength?
My biggest strength is being able to talk to people with normal conversations. So you don't always have to be very, very professional. Well, you have to be professional, but you don't always have to be very formal. So meaning that I like to have normal conversations with people, and I think that's how it's easy for me to connect with people through my coaching or through my consulting practice.
for every positive question, you know there's a negative one.